devastating testimony today at a hearing in Texas on why officials from Kerr County were not prepared for the deadly flash floods that killed more than 100 people earlier this month. Kerr was the hardest hit county when the Guadalupe River surged over its banks on July 4th. Today's hearing revealed that key county officials missed emergency briefings just before the floodwaters struck. The county's emergency management coordinator testified that he was sick at home.
I stayed in bed throughout July the 3rd and did not participate in the regularly scheduled 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Texas Emergency Management Coordination Center coordination calls. I briefly woke around 2 p.m. when there was no local rainfall or indication of elevated risk and returned to rest. I was awakened around 5:30 a.m. on July the 4th by my wife following a call from the City of Kerrville EMC, Jeremy Hughes, requesting that I mobilize. I reported immediately to the sheriff's office. There was no visible flooding on my drive into the office, but it quickly became clear that the situation was escalating.
CNN Shimon Prokupecz was at today's hearing in Kerrville, Texas. Shimon, do you get a sense of what kind of accountability these county officials could face?
No, right now, this is the first time that we're even hearing from them. Remember, in the first week, we kept asking for answers. We kept asking for a timeline. We kept asking for what were you people doing in the middle of the night in the lead up to this. And today, finally, from the emergency operations coordinator, he says he was home sick, and no one else in this county, in this city, was on any of the calls having to deal with the preparation that the Texas Department of Emergency Management was relaying and telling them, hey, watch out, be careful, this could potentially be a problem. And also the county judge, today it was revealed that no one even knew where he was. On the 3rd, on July 3rd, he wasn't in any of the briefings. And then on July 4th, there were a lot of questions about where was he. And finally, the lieutenant governor today had it and went after him. Take a listen to that.
Governor Youngkin was here. I was here. The mayor was here. Everyone was here.
Then I wasn't. Then I wasn't.
And you were not. You were not. And I asked the question, where's the county judge? I have covered multiple emergencies in my 10 years as lieutenant governor. This is about as bad of a day as you can have, and I've had a lot of bad days. Because we didn't just lose people, we didn't know where people were. And you weren't here. I asked where you were for the press conference that night. You weren't here. I don't know where you were on day one on July 4th, but you should have been here. You should have been here directing that response. That's your responsibility.
Shimon, you also got a chance to question the mayor today about the flood response. What did he tell you?
Right, it was the mayor of Kerrville, and I asked him whether or not he was invited to the briefing from the Texas Department of Emergency Management on July 3rd. He initially had told us that he didn't know about any phone call. Well, today, I had his email. I had the email that he received from Texas Department of Emergency Management inviting him to the call, and I asked him about that, and he finally revealed that he got the email, but he was never on the call. Take a listen. One of the times that I had questioned you at the press conference, I had asked you if you were on any phone calls.
Yes, I misunderstood. I thought you said, did someone call me?
Yeah.
And I did not receive a telephone call. Okay. I did receive an invitation.
Okay.
Which I've said, I wish I'd have seen it, but I didn't see it.
You didn't see the invitation?
I did not.
Your emails that were released, you saw
They were there.
They were there. It was at 1 a.m. that you got an email.
At 1 a.m.?
Yeah. From
I didn't know about that.
Texas Department of Emergency Management saying that there'd be a call at 10 a.m.
Okay. I didn't see those emails, I'm sorry.
But, I guess, had you seen that email, you would have been on the call, right?
I would have been on the call. I take responsibility for missing the email. I do. I do. I wish I'd seen it.
And John, behind me, this is where the hearing in Kerrville is taking place. This has been going on for about 10 hours, probably like 3 to 4 more hours to go here as they're doing public comment. Residents are coming here, voicing their concerns, voicing their opinions. We'll see where this goes from here, but certainly still a lot of questions.
You're asking the right ones. Shimon Prokupecz, thanks so much for being there. We appreciate it. With us now, CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem. She's also a former assistant secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And Juliette, you heard Shimon's report. How does this happen? How do people miss emails, miss briefings, and no one fills in for them?
Why are we doing emails? I mean, it's, you know, you don't hear an email. There's a whole system of notification that either doesn't exist or broke down in this. And I share Shimon's anger because any emergency management agency should have what we call continuity of operations. You're not dependent on a single point of failure of someone getting sick. I understand people get sick. He says he notified, the emergency management head said he notified his bosses, but the sheriff doesn't get, the sheriff is also out. He doesn't get called till 4:20 a.m. on July 4th. No one knows where the county judge is. And so this, you know, the way the system should work is it has redundancy so that continuity of operations continue. That 10 a.m. phone call on July 3rd, it wasn't specific. It didn't know how bad the briefers are Texas Emergency Management, the state. They don't know how specific it's going to be, but others on the call testified that they left that call with an uneasy feeling. And there was no one from the relevant county who was on that call to start to prepare people, start to notify, start to tell the camp counselors, the camp heads, we're hearing things that may be bad. Give people notice. That's the government's obligation. So I share in the sort of jaw-dropping aspects of this.
So the Kerr County Sheriff testified that he didn't know if sirens would have changed the outcome. He said the water just came on too fast. One of the survivors called that offensive. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, these men testified today that they have these big jobs, but then when they're not there, it doesn't matter that they weren't there. It's ridiculous. But I do want to say one thing. We should not look at the single man theory of disasters, that if but for one person, you know, that this would have gone better. There were choices made by the county, by the state, by the governor and the lieutenant governor about sirens, about preparedness, that they have to take responsibility for too. I'm glad to hear that things may be changing. So while there are individuals who may not have performed well, there's a whole system that left those children vulnerable. And it's a little precious of the lieutenant governor to blame everyone else.
Julia Kayyem, nice to see you tonight. Thank you very much.
Flash flood warnings are in effect for Philadelphia and New York City through the next hour after heavy thunderstorms walloped parts of the East Coast. High water stranded drivers in Queens, New York, and suspended some service on the Long Island Railroad. Cars were also submerged in floodwaters this afternoon in towns throughout Northeast Maryland. Air transportation is also being affected with more than 1,000 flight cancellations in the Northeast. Thunderstorm warnings are in effect until 8 p.m. Eastern. Last week, you might remember we reported first on the lead that the Kerr County emergency operations official was asleep during those deadly July 4th flash floods. And today we're also learning that key county officials were also missing from an emergency briefing call ahead of the catastrophic incident.